They dragged her commander across the dirt floor, blood trailing behind him, hands bound, face bruised, and barely recognizable. And she watched it from a distance, hidden behind shattered concrete, heartbeat steady, breath controlled. They hadn't captured him for information. They captured him as bait. They wanted her to come for him. They wanted a war. But they didn't know the truth. She wasn't coming with an army. She was coming alone. Before I tell you what happened next, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I love knowing who's listening. Her name was Ava Rylan, Navy SEAL, infiltration specialist, and the person her commander once called the Quiet Storm. She was good at disappearing, at becoming shadow more than soldier. But tonight, her silence wasn't strategy. It was grief, sharpened into resolve. HQ told her to stand down. They said the enemy wanted a massacre, that the hostage was just a trap, that a rescue attempt would cost lives. Ava didn't argue. She just nodded and left without permission. Because there are orders you follow, and orders you live with. She'd trained under that commander for 8 years. He taught her discipline, patience, and the one rule he said mattered most. You don't leave people behind, even when the world says they're already gone. And now, those words wouldn't stop echoing. The compound was buried in the mountains, surrounded by armed sentries, motion sensors, and the kind of silence that meant death was listening. But Ava wasn't rushing in guns blazing. She crawled through mud. She moved without sound. Her fingers brushed the rocks, marking distance, mapping exits, counting rifles, memorizing patterns of breath. Every step came with a memory. The commander teaching her how to fire from a moving raft, how to stay awake on hour 46 of zero sleep, how to hold on to humanity when war kept stripping it away. But all that training didn't stop doubt. What if she was too late? What if saving him meant killing men who never had a choice in the fight they took part in? She hated the part of war, where right and wrong blurred so badly they traded places. Inside the compound, the guards laughed around a fire. One kicked the commander to keep him awake. Ava felt the fury rise, but she buried it. Emotion got you killed. Emotion got him killed. She waited until the wind shifted, until the fire cracked loud enough to cover a broken lock, until the guard blinked long enough for a knife to slide into silence. One by one they fell. Not loud, not dramatic, just gone, like shadows melting into night. And then she reached him. His eyes opened halfway, unfocused, but he knew her by the way she breathed. "You shouldn't have come," he rasped. "You trained me too well for that," she whispered, cutting the ropes from his wrists. He tried to stand, but she caught him. The way a daughter catches a father who never says the word. That's when the floodlights snapped on. Dozens of rifles, triggers half squeezed. Her plan was airtight, until it wasn't. She raised her hands, slowly. She was ready to die if it meant he lived. But then, distant shouts. The guards turned. Confusion rippled. A distraction? No, a choice. Some of the enemy soldiers were lowering their weapons, backing away. They weren't loyal, they were afraid, and seeing Ava risk her life for a single man did something they didn't expect. It reminded them of honor. Not every battle is fought with bullets. Some are fought with what a human heart refuses to surrender. Minutes later, she walked out with her commander leaning on her shoulder. No gunfire, no bodies, no vengeance. Just two people and a lesson that shook the ground they walked on. She didn't kill to save him. She refused to become what they expected. Because strength isn't proven by how hard you strike, but by how hard you hold to what's right. Because honor doesn't vanish. It survives the darkness, and it leads the way out. And somewhere in the mountains behind them, the wind still carried the echo of the opening scene. But now, the ending had changed. If this story moved you, subscribe and stay with us. There are more stories of courage, sacrifice, and the people who refuse to walk away when it matters most. And tell me this in the comments. When is breaking the rules the right thing to do?